tale of two boxers, two welterweight fighters who ducked Terence Crawford religiously. Manny Pacquiao ducked Terence Crawford at top rank religiously. Bob Arum protected him from him, Freddie Roach protected him from him, and his fan base protected him from him. Errol Spence religiously ducked Terence Crawford. Al Heyman protected him from him, and his fan base protected him from him. Wrong side of the street. Why should I fight you when I can fight Terence Crawford and make just as much money? Spence said he'd give Crawford a 80-20 split or a 70-30 split and all shit like this. All of a sudden, Errol Spence is handed a career-defining fight against 42-year-old Manny Pacquiao, and a torn retina takes him out of the fight. Pacquiao takes on a late sub from Cuba who can't speak a word of English, UGAS, and is systematically outboxed. Now, there's a lot of teary-eyed people today talking about what a legend Manny Pacquiao was. And I'm not here to play dumb at you and say he wasn't a legend, because he obviously was, but because now Manny seems to be retiring, Floyd's name's coming up a lot. It's a pantomime, isn't it? And like, a lot of you have played into it. So Mayweather was the villain, and you rooted against the villain, and Manny Pacquiao was the good guy. So I get why there is this dislike for Floyd from some of you, and why he didn't get, oh, what a legend and what a warrior, because he was a warrior and a legend. You know, he's not getting the teary-eyed farewell. And Floyd exploited this and made a truckload of money. But, you know, you being a willing participant in the catch the villain game, have to accept that you lost the game and be a bit more sporting about it and stop being so sour about it. And, you know, you're supposed to ingratiate the winner, which is Floyd. But you're not going to do that, obviously. So while you're asking Floyd to be more stand-up, you're not very stand-up yourself, you know? Manny, I don't like using the word cherry pick, but he picked Keith Thurman because Thurman was inactive. He had lost a step. As we saw by his comeback against Jose Cito Lopez, Manny picked Keith Thurman and scraped past him. He was planning to pick Errol Spence, who also appeared to have lost a step, as witnessed in his performances against Mikey Garcia and Sean Porter. The same Sean Porter who Spence told Crawford, why should I fight you when I can take an easy fight like Sean Porter? Took his eye off the ball and Porter nearly got him. Then there was all the injuries that Errol sustained in that car crash. And this probably came back too quickly in all truth. And Manny tried to take advantage of that. If Floyd had fought either Thurman in the same circumstances that Manny did, or if Floyd had attempted to fight Errol Spence in the same circumstances that Manny was trying to, some of you would have been all over it. But no, Manny's a legend, taking on these young fighters. That's who Manny tried to fight. How much money did Manny ask for to fight Terence Crawford? $40 million. $40 million. But yet was prepared to take a $5 million guarantee against Spence. That's how much he was ducking the Crawford smoke. But in my opinion, the forces of righteousness are at work, and events started to conspire against Manny and against Errol. That retina tear left Manny in a bit of a spot, didn't it? Look, all them pay-per-views sold already. What, you're going to give out refunds? All them tickets at the gate sold? No, you're getting paid. They didn't even reduce the price of the pay-per-view, even though UGAS isn't the attraction that Errol Spence was. And if you think I'm just saying this with the benefit of hindsight, go check Boxing Beat Weekly, Volume 68. It's time-stamped. Go to Pacquiao UGAS and watch my breakdown. Pacquiao is now contemplating retirement. The Pacquiao fight is off the table for Errol for now. Terence Crawford let us know. Looks like Errol Spence Jr. gonna need me after all, though. I know you're really mad about that fight last night, because I was, but not in a hating way, just in a missed opportunity way. Don't beat yourself up about it. Get well, champ. Now, when I'm ready, I will make somewhat of a tribute to Manny Pacquiao. But not right now, because some of the syrupy, teary-eyed, what a legend and what a warrior shit, I'm not going to be part of that. This man is so self-righteous. He told the world that God told Manny, him, to deliver Floyd to him. This is your hero. He never once said, you know something, congratulations, Floyd. Even if he thought that he beat Floyd, he never congratulated Floyd once. How the f is this guy going to accuse Floyd of running when God ordained you to bring him to him? This is the stand-up, sportsman-like role model you guys talk about. He claimed he had a shoulder injury going into the fight, but seemed to be moving about freely and not restricted by the shoulder pre-fight. Well, you're supposed to declare these type of injuries to the State Athletic Commission, which he didn't do. They sued him. I don't know the result of that lawsuit. And you know who else sued him? Boxing fans sued him as well. Because basically he was selling a full set of goods by not filling the disclaimer that he was injured. The judge threw that lawsuit out. And his scumbag fan base threatened to take Timothy Bradley's life because the judges gave Tim the verdict. Pacquiao didn't come out once and say, do not threaten this man's life. He didn't separate himself from all the negative energy pointed at Tim Bradley. So, with Manny Pacquiao contemplating retirement and Errol Spence's torn retina casting doubts if he'll ever be the same fighter again, Terence Crawford is more relevant than ever at 147. It's going to be interesting to see what the PBC do. Are they going to put in a bid to bring Terence Crawford across that side of the street and take on Sean Porter? Or are they going to withdraw Porter from the negotiations and perhaps get him to rematch UGAS? Give UGAS a chance to avenge his loss for that same WBA title. Now, it's up to UGAS's team to make sure that they reach out to that Latin American demographic, whether they're in Cuba or in America, Mexico. Jose Napoles was Cuban. He was very popular in Mexico. And all the other Latin American countries. And try and get them to get behind UGAS, a Spanish-speaking contingent of supporters. They'll do the best they can in America to make him familiar with the public, but he doesn't speak English. And I'll just put it this way for you. If the Crawford and Porter fight, Crawford not having no belts, if that's so difficult for the PBC and Top Rank to make, let's assume that UGAS with that trinket and that scalp of Manny Pacquiao, it's almost ridiculous to expect a UGAS Crawford fight anytime soon. The reason Floyd doesn't fight competitively no more is because 12 rounders like what Manny went through on Saturday for 42-year-olds, I'm guessing, in any medical journal, any credible medical journal related to boxing will tell you, you don't want to be there. Should Manny retire? Well, there's a few debates, isn't there? Historically, when they fought more frequently and took worse beatings, you know, I mean, let's think about this. If this was in the 80s, you know what I mean? Like the WBC, they went 12 rounds early in the 80s, but this could have been a 15-round fight, 3 more rounds of a beating for Manny because UGAS was coming on strong. You know what shocked Manny was that 12th round. He thought he was going to finish strong. UGAS was clattering him with bombs, with big bombs. So Manny may still feel he's got something in the tank. He heals up. Jinky was feeding him in one video as he was healing up. But it would just take maybe one more of them and the pugilist syndrome may just kick into play in a way that he wasn't expecting. The bigger question is, you know, because it's up to Manny. Manny is at liberty to do what he wants with his health and his boxing career. Ultimately, it's up to Manny. But the bigger question is, can he afford to retire? Is Manny financially secure enough that he can retire? They say he spends frivolously and gives away quite a bit. Can he afford to retire? I don't know. Conor McGregor and whatever management company he has part ownership of, I believe, they're saying Manny owes them about $3 million, which they advanced him on the premise that they were trying to get a fight together with Conor. My guess is we'll see him back in the ring. There's a good chance we might get Manny in the ring with Terence Crawford at a far reduced rate from the exorbitant $40 million he was asking for earlier this year. And, you know, ESPN and Top Rank will set about making the fight. And the teary-eyed brigade are going to say how brave Manny is, but it's going to be a financial thing. Manny will fight anybody for money. Manny used to eat food from out of trash cans. He'll fight anybody for the dough. And I respect that as well. Listen, don't sell me some schoolboy fantasy that, you know what I mean, he's just a warrior for the sake of boxing. Nah, Manny will fucking fight Anthony Joshua for the right money. Trust me. This is the predicament and position Floyd didn't want to be in, where he's going to have to be fighting, let's say from 2006 or 7. This is nearly the third cycle of welterweight contenders now, with Boots Ennis and whoever else is coming up. Virgil Ortiz. You're going to be looking at fighting these guys now, you know, or taking on the pound-for-pound best at 42 with your depleted armory. Terence is going to hurt him really bad in a one-sided fashion. The boxing career is like a gymnastic routine, and when you get to the end, you got to dismount correctly, as perfect as possible, and few achieve it. Andre Ward, he got out unbeaten. Joe Calzaghe, he got out unbeaten. Lennox Lewis, he got out still champion. But let's be mindful, these are exceptions to the rule. It normally ends up fucked up. Ali, Jerry Quarry, Roy Jones, Meldrick Taylor, and on and on and on and on and on and on. Vitaly Klitschko, he got out good. Vladimir Klitschko got out good. Even though it was a loss, it was an excellent fight, one of his best fights. Joe Louis got punched out the ropes by Rocky Marciano, kept fighting on, still winning, but he ended up doing wrestling, which is an undignified ending, especially back in them days like Ezra Charles, Joe Louis, Randolph Turpin, and others. They ended up wrestling just to pick up a little chump change wherever they could. How does Manny dismount from his routine? Let's talk about that purse bid. The WBO has ordered a September the 2nd purse bid hearing for welterweight title fight between Terence Crawford and Sean Porter. In a rare move, the session will be available to the public via live stream on WBO Facebook page. My Boxing Scene Story. Now, what do I think of this? It just brings home the brainwash of boxing fans. The brainwash. We never used to have purse bid sessions. And I'm realizing what the internet's role is. Because while if you're a very intelligent person, with all the information you can have or have access to on the internet, you can make yourself a very spiritually enlightened person or a very materialistically wealthy person. Either way, if you choose. Or you can choose to indulge your warped practices, your criminal pursuits, your quest for happiness. You have choices. But for the most part, it has a dumbed down effect on the majority. Turns them into vegetables. Who the fuck wants to see a purse bid session? Will the fighters even be there? Who wants to see that? I want to see Eddie Hearn's mug up there, or Bob Arum, or whoever else is bidding. Al Heyman probably won't even be there, or Bob Arum. Now, yeah, I'm going to glimpse it. Of course I'm going to glimpse it. I'm following boxing like you. But I'm not going to make no time to watch it live. What's more important? Making the fight should be the only concern of a boxing fan. Not the pantomime. You see, there's all these people say, oh, stop watching this fighter's pocket. But all the business is out on Front Street nowadays. Mike Capp and Mike Benson and this one and that one and Jake Donovan, they're telling us literally more shit what happens in the boardroom than announcing actual fights that we want to see. It's not a good place. I grew up on Boxing News, Ring Magazine, KO Magazine, Sports Illustrated. And I'm going to tell you, they didn't used to discuss the in and outs of purse bids and shit like that. The purse bids were barely even mentioned in the magazine. You see, back then, the people in the infrastructure of boxing, they couldn't make money unless they delivered you the fights that you wanted to see for the most part. And some of them got away, don't get it twisted. But this shit here, this pantomime shit, this is what allowed Jake Paul and a 50-year-old Mike Tyson and Oscar De La Hoya and David Haye. How did David Haye get on an American boxing card at this stage of his life? Not even his career. He's been retired for 4 years and hasn't won a fight since probably 2016. And he's getting a bucket load of dollars. Why don't you make it pay-per-view to view the session? Why don't you just do that? Because I've seen people online, yeah, I want to see it. No, you want to see the fight. You're conditioning yourself to think about the wrong things. You think about the wrong things, you don't ask the right questions, and they can just get over on you anytime. UGAS in 2012, he was thrown off Top Rank after losing a split decision to another undefeated fighter. So all the people talking about Eddie Hearn cut, Anthony Sims cut, Michael Hunter, yo, if they don't cut you, they'll shelf you. Shelving you is the nice way of saying they're cutting you. But nevertheless, you ain't getting no fights. That same fight that he lost on Top Rank and lost his position on Top Rank was against Johnny Garcia. Johnny Garcia hasn't fought since 2017 and went on to record 19 wins and 6 losses, 1 draw, which lets you know how determined and persistent you have to be and single-minded, and how much drive you need to be a boxer, and how you can't be influenced by the wrong people. You just can't allow it to happen. UGAS actually lost his next fight, an 8-rounder against Amir Imam, who at that time was being touted, I'm not going to say hyped up, touted by a lot of people. And then after the Granadas loss, you know, where's he at? The race is not for the swift, but the enduring. However, this was not an upset for me. I believe UGAS could have given Manny trouble at any stage of Manny's career and beat him. And maybe there's scenarios where Manny could beat him, maybe so. But that style gives Manny trouble more times than not. So it wasn't no upset to me. Most of you who are regulars on the Boxing Beat Weekly heard my breakdown. This was no upset. Maybe to the bookmakers and to the die-hard Manny Pacquiao fans and the die-hard pro-Pacquiao media, it was an upset to them. Guys like Dan Raphael, probably an upset to him, but not to me. Errol Spence's trainer, Derek James, believes that Spence would have done serious damage to Manny. He would have stopped him, broke his ribs. Well, he's bound to say that. It's Errol Spence's trainer. But all this stopping Manny, maybe, but Errol couldn't stop Mikey Garcia, couldn't stop Danny Garcia, couldn't stop Sean Porter. In Errol's defense, neither of them have been stopped before, and Manny has been stopped a few times. But we can't say, because Errol wasn't able to make it to the ring. Now, I haven't seen the activity, but apparently Spence's fan base are saying the same thing. If it was Spence, he would have stopped him. And Spence's fan base is similar to the Wilder fan base, and you saw what they did after Andy Ruiz stopped Anthony Joshua. They literally hijacked Andy Ruiz's victory and said this is what Wilder would have did to AJ. As per usual, the chorus was led by Deontay Wilder. I'm too dangerous. You've seen what I do in the ring. I don't play around. And they know if Ruiz can get Joshua out of there, imagine what I could do. That's why they stayed away from me. Now, I recently said that Nick Webb would give Alexander Usyk life and death. Now, I was part trolling, and, you know, a bit of me was serious as well. I'd never said that Nick Webb could beat him. I don't believe he could. Life and death is two different things. Then, when Fabio Wardley knocked out Nick Webb in a round, or stopped him in a round, I had this stuff on my channel. Oh, do you still believe Nick Webb could give Usyk life and death? And all I was thinking to myself was, I didn't see Usyk in the ring. I saw Fabio Wardley stop Nick Webb. How are you going to use what Fabio Wardley done to build a case for what Usyk could do to the same opponent? John Fury is a man who doesn't trust anything. He's warning Tyson Fury that he needs to ignore the yes men that surround him. He's worried that Tyson is not surrounded by the right people, like himself. Now, Tyson has took a lot of time out of training, apparently, to be with his newborn, who's had some complications with her birth. He said when Tyson gets off the plane in Las Vegas, you've got 200 yes men waiting for him, looking to get whatever they can from him, because he's the Pied Piper. That's what he does. People follow him around just to get what they can. Yes, Tyson, you're this, you're that, you're the best, we love you. John predictably points at himself and says you need people like me around because I'm the bad guy, because I'm getting the boot up the backside and down the road because they're not relevant to his job or he'll get beat. He needs to work like we are in here because Fury's been in the UK with his old man training. 1-to-1, John says he needs a select few people around him who he can trust and work and get it all right and shed blood, snot and tears in the gym. Part 2 to be continued. We'll pick up where we left off.